Okay, welcome once again to another episode of Plastic Models by Regular Dude. First off, let me say, if you hear kind of a hum or hissing or whatever you want to call it in the background, it's my AC unit that I keep out here in my man cave, man tunnel, man room, whatever you want to call it, because it's kind of hot today. So hopefully it won't distract too much. But what I want to talk about today is the next kit that I'm going to build, and that is the Revell Messerschmitt BF109G 10 Erla, kit number 04888. Now, don't get worried, because I'm not going to just blab about each and every detail of this kit and all that. There's plenty of people that have already done that, and they've probably done it way better than I could. I'm just going to talk about some specifics on some changes I'm going to make to the kit, how I'm going to finish it, how I'm going to decal it, and you know, just some general stuff that's going to be specific to this build. And I'll talk a little bit about some of it, but I'm not going to get into a lot of detail. So anyway, this is the box. You know, I'm sure you've all seen it. It's got some nice artwork and stuff on it. Now, my box is a little bit different than everybody else's, or at least some people's. And people have complained about this type of box, you know, the kind that flaps open on the end instead of coming off. And I kind of agree with that. It's just kind of annoying, because I like to be, when I'm not working on something, I like to be able to put it in the box, and then, you know, that kind of keeps the dust off of it. So what I did is I taped each corner, and I just cut myself a flap so I can put everything in here and then close it. It keeps it from getting quite so dusty, keeps the cats from playing with it, whatever. So anyway, that's my box. All right, now what I want to talk about, really, well, number one, I'm gonna, you know, say what everybody else has said, pretty much, that the detail on this kit is really, really nice. The panel lines, the rivet detail, all that is just, it's really, really nice. There's some good stuff going on this kit, and what makes it even better is the price point. I mean, to me, this is a good value for the money, for the amount of kit that's in this box. Now, I have not built a 1/32 scale aircraft since, for probably about 30 years. That's probably the last time I did it, and I can, just from what I remember, these things are far and away much better than the old stuff. I mean, this is just really, really nice. So I used to really dislike aircraft. I didn't like all the filling and the seams that you have to deal with, but the last kit I built, obviously the engineering has gotten way better, so I like it. So this is the one I'm going to do. So, you know, that said, the detail's great. I could go over all of it. Somebody else has already done that. Lots of people have, so I'm not going to really talk about it. I am going to talk about, however, what I am doing different than some. A lot of people have done the same thing that I'm going to do, and for the same reasons. Barracuda Studios makes aftermarket decals and resin products, and they make aftermarket kits for this particular model. And I got 2 of those aftermarket kits. Now, the ones I got the propeller and spinner set. Let's see, the prop and spinner is model number BR32123, and it includes the prop blades and the spinner. Now, the reason I did that is, and thank goodness that other people have reviewed this kit, and it's been out long enough, since 2013, that this resin stuff is available. And you know, I'm not a real stickler for some detail, but some stuff just kind of bugs me. And this would be one of them. Now, what this is, in this particular case, you got the spinner and the backing plate for the spinner. Now, the way this is set up is this part glues on top of this part after you have the props in. Now, that's fine and dandy, except for the fact that the seam between the spinner and this backing plate is not what I call a natural seam, as you would see on the real aircraft. Okay, so what would happen if you wanted to look somewhat accurate and be correct is this part would be assembled onto this part, and then there's a seam line right here that would have to be filled, sanded, smooth, whatever. And I might be able to do it, but I'm just not seeing it, and I don't want that seam there. So the fix for that is this spinner right here. And as you can see, it's solid all the way back. Now, the seam on this, the natural seam on this is molded right here, okay? The seam on this one, after you glue it together, would be way up here, so you'd have to fix that, okay? And I didn't want to have to mess with that, so I thought for the price, you know, this is the way to go. And considering the price of the kit, it doesn't hurt at all to buy aftermarket stuff, and this stuff doesn't cost very much, so you get some, you know, nice additions. You can also see that, hopefully that'll stay there, the end of the cannon here and here, it's much more finely detailed and molded on this aftermarket part, and then there's all kinds of nice rivet detail on here that that's not present on here. So that's just kind of a nice thing. And again, I'm not like a real huge stickler for detail, but I do like this. The other part is the prop blades. The cord is a little bit different between the kit version and the this resin version. This one apparently is much more true to scale as far as realism. You can see that this one here is a little narrower than the resin version, and the length is even just a little bit different. Okay, I've also heard that the thickness is more appropriate on the resin one. I don't know about that. I can't really tell a big difference, but apparently it is. So that's why I got this particular detail aftermarket set. Okay, so that was the prop and spinner for the BF109 G10 and K4. Okay, so it'll work on either kit, and it indicates on the packaging that it will work on the Revell or the Hasegawa kits. Okay, so that's why I got that. All right, so let's see. The other Barracuda aftermarket set I got was this one, and this one is the intake and exhaust set. Okay, this includes exhaust for both sides. It includes the supercharger intake, and it also includes the cooling scoops. Okay, and here is what I am talking about. First, you've got the supercharger intake. Okay, this is the kit intake. Okay, it's not bad. I mean, it's real finely molded and it looks good. I don't think it'd be too hard to manage this seam on the back. I don't think it'd be that big a deal to fill that in and make it look right. The one thing is, though, on the inside here, on the inside of this round part of the scoop, you'd have a couple of indentations, like seams, and it's a lot harder to fill seams on the inside of something than on the outside. And so this came with the exhaust set, so it's just kind of a plus. I might not have bought it, you know, by itself, but this is molded very nicely. It's got a little seam, a little ridge right around the outside edge here, like the part that fits on there. It's nice and hollow. Nice round shape with no seams on the inside. Okay, so that's pretty nice. Then, oops, there are the cooling scoops. Now the cooling scoops are right here, okay, and hopefully you can see these are not hollow, okay, they are filled in when they should be a scoop, not just a flat surface. Now a person could probably maybe drill those out, but that's kind of thick, and especially where this one's placed, it would be an impossibility to get that one hollow, okay. This one, yes, maybe, not that one. So basically what you do with these, the aftermarket version from Barracuda, is you just cut these off. It's nice and hollow. You shave these off, smooth it down, and then glue these in place, okay. So that's just kind of a bonus. Again, this might not be something I actually buy separately, but it did come in this kit, so I'm good with that. Now the main reason I got the intake and exhaust set is for the exhaust itself. Now here is the exhaust on, here's the kit exhaust, okay. Hopefully you can see the ends of the exhaust are not hollowed out. Okay, now I often say that I'm not a real stickler for detail, especially when it comes to some dimensions. Like if something's grossly out of dimension, it bugs me, and I would skip a kit maybe because of that, depending on how bad it was. But stuff like this that should be hollowed out, or gun barrels on machine guns or cannons, and that, those things should be hollowed out. And gun barrels, machine guns, I can handle that with a pin vise, but something like this would be, you know, it might be possible, but it'd really be hard to hollow those out. That'd be a toughie, and that would just bug me to have that solid like that. So I got in that Barracuda set, this is the Barracuda set. As you can see, they're nice and hollowed out. This portion right here is nice and flat. There's no mold line to have to smooth like there is on the kit version, but it's just hollowed out, so you get this thing, you know, put a little flat black in there, paint the rest of it up, and it's going to look good. It'll look really nice. It even has like the I don't know if it's a casting or weld mark on the outside of the exhaust as on the real aircraft, but that's the main reason I got that particular kit. As far as I'm concerned, the other stuff are bonuses. So that's something else I'm going to do a little different on here. Now another thing that I'm not going to do, that Barracuda actually makes a aftermarket piece for, are the wheel bulges on the wings. I'm not going to get that out, but basically it's a portion of the wing that represents the upper portion of the, oh yep, there they are. Sorry, I did have it out because I did want to talk about it. This part right here, these are available in resin from Barracuda. Now the stuff I've read about those is they don't fit quite right on this wing structure. There's a lot of filling that has to go on and a little tweaking around to get it to fit, so that I didn't want to mess with. I just, you know, too much of the filling and all that kind of stuff I don't like to do. That's why I didn't like building aircraft back in the old days. There's too much of that, and I don't, you know, to me, it just kind of distracts from the enjoyment of building the model. So the difference being is one has a large bulge here and some have a small bulge. So I'm not sure on if it makes a difference on the kit I'm building or the version I'm going to build. So I'm just going to stick with the kit parts. Okay. So basically that's the kit parts that I'm going to be dealing with differently than just straight out of the box. You know, normally I'm an out of the box kind of guy, but in this particular case, I am going to actually do the aftermarket. Okay. So again, that was the BF109 G10 and K4 prop and spinner, number BR32123, and the intake and exhaust set BF109 G10, model number BR32156. Okay, so that's the two. You know, if you're so inclined, if you haven't already built this kit, that's a good way to go. So that brings me to my next point. You know, here's the instructions. I will remark on something on these instructions that I do like, and some people doesn't bug, but I remember Tactical Jackalope brought this up once. He likes the type, and so do I, the type of instructions that are like a booklet, so you can turn the pages. And to me, it's just easier, like if you're working on something and you see something, say, you know what, you need to refer back, you can flip the page instead of having to unfold like the map deal, you know, because it's this big long thing that's just folded up, you know, and you have to, it's not convenient. This is much nicer. So, you know, that is one thing about the instructions I do like. Other than that, they're just your typical instructions. You know, it's got your color schemes on the back, neither of which I am doing. And then all the construction, all that wonderful stuff. So, instructions, basic, they're instructions. Okay. Then you have the kit decals, which are pretty nice. They are printed in Italy. Somebody somewhere mentioned they thought they were a cartograph, which could be, but they're very nice. They have like almost a satin finish to them. The carrier film looks really thin, so you know, it looks pretty good. Everything's in register, looks really nice. However, nice as they are, I'm not using them, and here is the reason why. I am doing, as I mentioned, Barracuda does decals as well. And my son, who is also going to be building this kit at the same time I am, did some research, and he found all kinds of neat stuff. So in that, I found one that I really wanted to do, and this is it. BF109 G10 Erla-built White 14. That's the one I'm going to do. And here are some of the reasons why. Okay, it was flown by a pilot named Valdemar Wagler with JG-51 at Gartz, Germany, April 1945. The notation here says this aircraft still carried the markings of JG-3 when Wagler landed at Rinkeby Airfield, Sweden on April 24th, 1945. Okay, that's one of the things that caught my attention. I like stuff with a little bit of a story to it, something unusual. Apparently, in doing some reading on the internet, this pilot took off and just decided, you know what, I'm done with the war. It's almost done, being April 1945. He goes, I'm done. So he just flew right on over to Sweden, landed, gave himself up, a neutral country, and they took over the plane. The original camouflage was RLM 74, 75, 76 with the additional overspray to cover the white fuselage band done in a darker color. Okay, so as you can see here on the fuselage band, it's been squiggled over with some gray, with a darker gray on top that doesn't quite match the rest of the aircraft. So they covered that white stripe up for some reason. And I like the fact that they did that, and it just adds a bit of uniqueness to the aircraft. Also, I'm going to do a little research here. This could be a printing error, but I'm not sure. But there's like a tannish spray spot right there. So I'm going to research that and see if that's should be like that or not. Another unique item on here is the rudder. Hopefully you can see the rudder here. As you can see, this is the typical light color with the dark spray splotches, modeling, whatever you want to call it, dark spray splotches on the front. Well, at some point they had to replace the rudder, so it's just like a solid gray color that doesn't quite match anything else. And then the splotches, the splotches of the camouflage look like they were painted on hard edged with a brush or something. So that adds some more uniqueness to this airplane. So that's why I chose this particular aircraft, these markings for this aircraft. And you know, these are the decals, and these look like some really nice decals. Very, very sharp. They look a little bit different in some of the ways that things were painted, like Achtung. Now I'm going to probably mess this up. Kraftstoffbehälter, whatever. The actual print on that one is curved, and this one's straight, so it's a little bit different. But it may have differed from aircraft to aircraft. But anyway, that's a really nice looking decal set there. So that is the decal. Those are the markings I'm going to use. And something else to note on this particular aircraft is in the photos that are available of this aircraft, two things they've done. They've blacked this out. Looks like they've sprayed it or something, just the swastika. They blacked that out. Then over the German marking, they have painted a Swedish marking, you know, in yellow and blue, I'm assuming. All the pictures are in all the photos are in black and white, so I'm just assuming since that's their colors, that's what they did. But that's what I'm going to do on this kit. I'm going to block that over and spray that in the Swedish colors. So hopefully it'll be unique compared to everybody else that's done one of these. I've never seen a kit painted like that, so I'm hoping that you know, I'll have one that's kind of a one-off type deal. So anyway, that is pretty much it for this kit. Now that I've got the I'd ordered the decals some time back, and I just now ordered the resin parts, and now those are here. I can actually get started on this kit. So I'm going to start on it, start building it, and I'm not going to do like a step-by-step, you know, showing each thing along the way. Basically what I'll do is I'll just kind of talk about, I'll build quite a bit of it, and then maybe do a quick video, and if there was anything weird that came up, or a fit issue, which I haven't heard of, or something that might be helpful for somebody, I'll talk about that a little bit. So there won't be quite as many videos on this model as there was on my last one, the Panzerkampfwagen 4 by Tamiya, the old kit. There won't be quite as many on that, I don't think, but you know, I'll try and keep it interesting and keep it to where, you know, what I do have to say is helpful. So anyway, got all my stuff. I'm ready to start rolling on this so I can start building it, and I'll come up with an update as soon as I can. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching Plastic Models with the Regular Dude. See you next time.